Hey everybody, I'm Peyton Smith, your social media producer here at Paizo, and we're here for a new little reboot of Starfinder Wednesdays. And I'm here with a lovely guest today. How you doing, man?
Not bad. Yourself?
It's good and everything else. This is Joe Pasini. You recently just got promoted, I believe, to the Starfinder lead designer. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Awesome. And today we're also here to basically talk about Alien Archive 3. And has tons of new things inside the book and tons of things to add to your Starfinder adventures. So one of the things as well, chat, that normally what we like to do here is that you guys can come over. We're going to showcase everything that we can. But at the end of it, think of questions that you would like to ask Joe. Because at the very end of it, around 30 minutes or so, we're going to stop for a Q&A so you can ask him everything. We already have some questions kind of pulled in from Twitter, the forums, Facebook, and stuff like that. But still feel free to ask on Twitch because we're going to be, splitting those around. So with that, tell me all about this. So Alien Archive 3 is pretty much, third series of it. So what does the third one add? How much stuff does it add for the archive?
It adds a lot of things. Let's talk about everything that's in it. Because,
like all the neat stuff, and I know you guys added a whole bunch of adorable creatures in here that I'm glad to talk about.
There's more than 100 stat blocks in this book that GMs can use to attack their players. We got lots of scary monsters in here, which I think we brought art for. One of them is the.
You want to show one of them now?
Yeah, let's show them off.
All right. So what's this one?
This is a swarm creature. What's the specific model of it? Lou Pelazar wrote this one for us because they like bugs. And this is a Swarm Zursk, which I'm definitely pronouncing right because I just made it up.
Is that two versions of them?
Yeah, there's two in here. We're showing art of one, of course. Can't give it all away. And there's some other uglies in here, like the Stridermander Tyrants. So fans of our setting probably are familiar with Skittermanders, who are adorable and fuzzy and like to help out.
These are just a nightmare version of these?
Yeah, these live on the same planet, and they are predators of the Skittermanders. So
that's terrible.
Yeah.
On any of the adventures, do you actually fight any of these in any?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But soon we'll be able to pull from this very book.
I want to see one. I don't want to see a whole bunch of Skittermanders try to help out this creature in a lovingly storm of lasers in the future.
It's now possible, or soon will be. In 2 weeks, when this book comes out.
Yeah. Do you remember the exact date when Alien Archive 3 comes out?
I just barely do. It's August 28th.
There you go.
Paizo.com and friendly local game stores. And then Jinsuls, which are real cool art. Like the main reason I picked them for this book, inclusion in this book, they're picked up from Starfinder Organized Play.
In which they recently had a big event with them too at Gen Con.
A big special.
If some of you saw some of the social media posts and everything else that we had for all that we could do to give you guys a heads up on Gen Con, they actually had a big event involving these. I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't got to deal with it, but it was super exciting to be there with tons of people in the room just cooperating in this giant event involving these creatures. It was fantastic. But what else do we have here to show off some creatures and stuff?
Oh, I didn't mention that the Stridermander was written by Crystal Fraser, who wrote Skittermanders originally. So
really?
She also wrote the thing that eats them.
That's
that's
disgusting.
Yeah, and then Natalie Kurtzner wrote the Jinsuls for us because she's awesome in organized play. She does a lot for us there, and is very familiar with these Jinsuls. But she also wrote something else. Or no, you know what?
Did you do this one? Or?
No, this was Kate Baker. This is another pickup from, we'll get to what Natalie wrote later. What Kate Baker wrote, also from Organized Play, a pickup, is the Morlama, which you can see is a Technicolor walrus from space.
Any special things with it? Like any special mechanics that it might have? Or
Absolutely.
I'm putting on the score. Don't worry. I'm putting on the front.
I remember
don't worry.
Everything from several months ago.
It's okay. We're trying to fiercely flip through the book to teach everyone. So tell me a special thing about him that people might be interested to know. What special thing he can add to the game?
They have real dexterous flippers. That's my favorite line about them. And they live in trenches under the sea.
Is there a special thing you want to read out for him that's inside the book?
I don't want to spoil it. No.
No, don't want to spoil anything. Okay.
To.
So what's the next thing that we have?
Let's see. Oh, we've got the Durindi, written by Hillary Moon Murphy,
Mm-hmm.
fan of the show. They're a very excitable species. They like hanging out with people and talking to them and electrically zapping them when they greet people. That's kind of what they do. They've some of them who travel farther than their moon in the Pact Worlds learn to not do that to everyone, but they share a world with the Sazerons, which were written by Katina Davis, who was on our customer service team. And actually, our entire customer service team, at the time of this writing, worked on this book, which is really cool. So, Katina wrote the Sazeron and also Shimreen, which are these crystal people that are a pickup from and an expansion from an Adventure Path volume. And Diego Valdez wrote the Kothama, which live on the farthest planets of the Veskarium, which is where the Vesk are from, the warlike lizard folk. And he wrote something else that we'll spoil later, maybe.
You can't really elaborate all that, but this is basically like an extremely friendly race, right?
Yeah.
And I think their alignment is, am I allowed to say their alignment?
Sure.
Like chaotic good, I believe it was, which is implicate certain things when I've experienced chaotic good. But they really look like another race that I've been familiar with in other games as well. And they've been, but no, like I really like the design of it as well, because it's just, it feels alien, but it's still humanoid and familiar enough.
Yeah, and they got the 3 eyes and 3 fingers that kind of...
Does the 3 eyes do anything special for them, or just help them see a little bit better?
They have, it's really their sort of innate electricity that helps them look around better.
So next up that we have on our list here, tell me about this creature.
This is the Hanigan, which is a freaking dinosaur with a laser gun. I mean, need I say more? We can ask.
Is it any special lore things you may know off the top of your head, possibly, or?
They're very magic oriented. They have really cool lore. This was also written by Crystal Frazier.
Page 49 for you.
Oh, thank you so much. So they have innate spell-like abilities that they can cast. They have a really cool culture that I don't want to get too much into, but they also have feathers, which is really neat. And
is the culture inspired by anything specific?
We should ask Crystal about that. It felt pretty unique to me. I should also mention that these are small creatures, and they are playable too.
So you can actually play these in Starfinder.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I assume Alien Archive 3 will also have everything facilitating to allow you to roll up one of these creatures as a player character, right?
Yep, exactly. Just like the previous 2 volumes, we include a racial traits sidebar for our playable species. There are 19 playable species in this book, 20 if you count, which I do, a species that has a larval form and then an adult form that have different abilities and statistics.
And do we have images for this one, or?
Yeah, we've got them in here. The Decimar.
Okay, let's see if we have it next up. Well, it's not next up, actually.
No, it's not next up. But this is.
Okay.
Be happy to talk about the Cephaloom we're looking at.
Let's go by the order of the pictures we have. So tell me about this creature real quick, then we can go back to your larva thing, because I actually am super curious. I want to show this for stream anyway. So tell me about this creature.
So this is a Cephaloom, which has a cool story behind it. Jessica Redicop wrote this, and she also named it because she was at the PaizoCon 2018 panel where we created an alien together with, I forget who exactly was on the panel. I know Jason Keeley was there and some other folks, and our artist guest of honor that year, Taylor, sketching the creature for us while we talked about it. But as a group with the panel guests, we created a monster and statted it up, roughly. And then we were looking for a name, and Jessica was in the audience and said, "How about Cephaloom?" And we're like, "That sounds great." And everybody agreed. And then when it came time to assign this to be written, we're like, we know who should write this. It should be Jessica Redicop. So she was kind enough to flesh out their backstory and stat them up. And also, these are playable, if I didn't mention that already. They're some of my favorite arts and creatures. They're on the back of the book, too, which you can show later.
And you want to tell me a little bit about them, like any lore bits?
Yeah, they have...
about them as well, like what planet they might be from and stuff like that, if you know off the top of your head.
It should be in the entry, but they do have a symbiosis with barnacles that live on them, and those barnacles can take different forms that give them different abilities, which is pretty cool. I think that's one of the most interesting things about them. They also communicate via bioluminescence.
Yeah, one of their special abilities, Bioluminescence. May I read it? Is that okay?
If you want, yeah.
Cephalon increases the light level by 1 step out of a radius of 20 feet. Cephalon can suppress or reactivate this light as a move action, and they can receive a +4 racial bonus to stealth checks when their light is suppressed. Cephalon also uses this light to communicate with others. Now, is that specific to just... No, only just other Cephaloons, basically? So say, for example, you're an adventurer for like some rogue ones or something, trying to sneak through. Like, you're able to kind of Morse code sign at them?
As a GM, I'd allow that for sure.
That sounds like I'm just imagining a whole bunch of these being pirates and stuff.
Yeah.
You want to go to the next creature? Tell me more about it? So what is this creature? Tell me something about this one.
So this one I'm pretty excited about. This was also written by Jessica. It's called the Spectra, and it's one of several forms. It is a new outsider, which is what we call creatures that are of a plane, like that they are the sort of living essence of a plane of existence. And of course, Pathfinder has plenty of devils and angels and aeons and everything like that. But we have a new plane in Starfinder, of course, the hyperspace plane of the Drift. And so we thought it'd be really cool to have an outsider that was native to that plane. So we created the Spectra, again, working with Jessica. So we have...
And for those people who don't know, explain the Drift real quick for me.
Oh, sure, yeah. The Drift is a plane that allows faster than light travel. Because it's only accessible via technology, and it's the realm of a tripartite AI god formed from 3 different kind of clockwork and artificial intelligence gods. And that god, about 300 years ago in this setting, sent out a signal to everyone, like everywhere, explaining how to build drift engines and gain access to the drift. And it's also the foundation of our setting in that the way we divide up our galaxy is sort of how accessible it is via the drift, because some places take longer to get to, even using that.
I really like the ability that they have here called Bloom Beam, which is as far as Bloom Beam is a ranged attack with a range of 120 feet, the blast weapon's special property, and the stun critical hit effect.
Yeah, you don't want to tangle with these necessarily. This is a CR18 creature, so...
Yeah, like that's the Expecna, and then...
And they're neutral, which matches their god Triune. And they're all about the drift. So I believe the Expecna is the one that... Let's see. Spectra, Specna. Well, their missions generally is to kind of evangelize about the drift and protect travelers that are in the drift. And because the other thing about the drift is when you use a drift engine and enter that plane, a part of another reality gets ripped out and joins the drift. Yeah, which is no big deal,
We're not causing any harm that might destroy the galaxy or anything.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
All right, so let's go over to a next creature, and tell me about. Tell me about this.
So this is I brought this art to show off a little bit of the rules section that's in the back, just like Alien Archive 1 and Alien Archive and Alien Archive 2 had a new rules section in the back. We've done that with this book with creature companions. So you can now have a pet or someone that fights with you, like it's in this picture, or even a mount.
Any particular mounts that were recently added that you're excited about, or?
Yeah, a few. There's and this is going back a little to the Shotolashu, which we have stats for as a creature in Alien Archive 2, but now we have rules for you to be able to use them as a mount, which, Lashuntas are one of our core races, and they are famous for having these bonded mounts. Yeah. And we've touched on that before, including like a special saddle, and now you can use that saddle on an actual Shotolashu mount. So we also added some new things that you can fly on or burrow with, and weirder creatures, some of which have been name dropped before. And one of my favorites, which I think is the next piece of art, is the Teshtari wolf pups, which are...
I don't like them.
Yeah, it's okay. This is also a throwback to Alien Archive 2 in a way, where the 3-legged laser wolves called Teshtaris. I had to order art of a box of laser puppies. Funnily enough, you can't get them until 4th level as a companion that will actually not try to eat you, instead work with you. But
I do like their ability of muzzle beam.
Yep. You like the beam-related abilities.
I mean, like, look, it's an offensive thing, and it's pretty all at the same time. And apparently, I'm not going to say the full thing of it, but it actually has a range of 80 feet, and has a burn critical hit effect.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you want to buy a box of abandoned, orphaned laser dogs, you can definitely send them out and have them cause havoc.
Exactly. There's all sorts of cool stuff back here, and even with all the example companions we have in the back, there's a system for making your own too. So, and some equipment too that is specific to
armor for your mounts and stuff like that.
Stuff to keep them breathing in space mostly. Yeah, just so they don't immediately die when you have to go on a.
Right. And I think there's mostly it for your stuff. So we've been flipping through the book together, just kind of looking at all these amazing stuff. And one of the things that I really like, 'cause I'm still kind of, being familiar with all the stuff that we have and everything else. One of the things I really liked about the book is that in the corners that we basically have, so if you need to quickly flip over and you're familiar with how the creature looks, all you have to do is just kind of quickly look over and we pretty much have a generic robot and stuff like that. So what else about the book is something that we would like to showcase here?
Well, and this is something we did in Alien Archive 1 and 2, is there's tons of stuff for people to play with, right, for players to use. It's not just a GM's book. There's an index in the back here of all the player-facing rules. This is most of it, but it continues on the previous page, actually.
Yeah, and then, sorry for the glares and stuff, but that's the...
and also, there's a table here. These are the playable races that are in this book, which I think I said 19, 20 if you count the 2 forms of the Decimar, which we could go look at if you wanted.
You want to list them off? You want to list them off together?
No way.
No way. Okay, let's see here.
It's a bunch of weird alien names.
I mean, it's a bunch of weird... Oh, don't be that way.
Oh, the Dramata's in here, though, and that's one that Diego wrote from the customer service team.
And I actually want to showcase this thing and everything else, but
yeah, do it.
But other than that, actually, you flip over there for me.
Okay.
And everything else, but so other than that, what other options do we have that this book will benefit new Starfinder players and current ones?
I mean, just looking here, there's technological items, there's creature companions, which we already talked about. There's augmentations, there's new starship weapons. If you can beat what is it, CT Mutal? It's a huge, I want to say it's like a CR18 creature, CR19 creature. If you can beat it, then you can mount its head and some of its bones.
What was that?
That was the CT Mutal.
Jesus.
Which is the easiest to pronounce. But that's
it. That's a CR18, was that? Or
19. Yeah. It's gargantuan, so you're gonna have a hard time. But
is that designed to basically be like a boss type creature, or something to be like an existential threat?
I hope so. Just because, if there are parties that can handle like swarms of these, then I don't want to meet them. But there's also, you can mount their heads and some of their bones onto your starship as a weapon.
Oh dear!
If you can manage to,
It looks like you need a starship to even attack that thing.
And it's a beam, my friends. So I know you're into it.
What beam? What beam does it have? Light
Yeah, see?
This is Xi beam.
Yeah, exactly.
The T is silent, I think.
Okay.
3d6 damage, all that. Oh.
Yeah, so that's pretty fun.
And there was one creature I really wanted to showcase. I think you might know where it is. No, let's showcase that one. There's another one who's like that ball of destruction that destroys.
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about what to put in this book, and we said to ourselves, we give you the ability to create monsters of up to CR25.
Yeah.
In the first Alien Archive, there's instructions on how to make your own creatures. But we haven't done any of those.
Yeah.
So we decided to make a CR25 creature, which is basically a ball of doom that crash lands on your planet and just destroys everything forever.
And basically before the show, I basically made sure I got one of these books and I started going through it. And one of the things I really love going with for Starfinder Adventures is finding a really nice monster in some of these, and basically having as a giant existential threat that's basically going to be like, this is something you have to worry about. This creature was a CR25, and literally the lore in it was something I was so inspired by reading through it. Is just this giant, just evil thing. Well, not really evil, because I think it's just dead neutral.
It's neutral, yeah, because it's a big robot, basically.
It's dead neutral.
But it's magical, also.
From a copyrighted name that I can't say as reference, that basically will just flow through the galaxy and just kind of eliminate anything on the planet. And I'm like, that is a perfect enemy
Yep.
for a thing. Probably not a perfect villain, but it is such a ginormous threat to where it's just like, oh god, it's here. And then everyone's worried that it's here because it's just a giant ball of destruction.
Then kind of on the flip side of that, we also have, because we have, obviously, we've talked about 2 colossal things now that can be the be-all, end-all of an entire campaign. We have plenty of, more common creatures maybe, or smaller things that you might encounter.
Like creatures are very common to you. Something.
Sure. Lurkers in light are a pickup, or something that was in Pathfinder. But we thought that they're invisible in light.
Yeah.
But where is there more light than in a futuristic setting?
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of exciting to think about one of these getting loose on a space station that never sleeps and is always lit.
Yeah.
Like, what do? You shut down all the the whole station to try to find this thing? And that was written by Virginia Jordan, another customer service member. And then we've also got more futuristic things that we can really only do in Starfinder.
You want to show them the art of that previous creature? Like just flash them. The creature you were just talking about.
Oh, the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's kind of what they look like little light up fairy creatures and stuff like that.
Yep. And there's a new, so we picked up this one and we created a new one that likes radioactive stuff. I'll leave it at that. Called the Light Weaver. And it comes with a weapon fusion because, again, we try to have a lot of player options and stuff. And it's something I feel like we can only do this kind of thing in Starfinder, is the Ferrofluid Ooze.
Oh, that looks awesome.
And Sam Phelan wrote that, and she's the final member of our customer service team.
Here, let me switch over to your thing to probably help them out a little bit better. My bad, guys. I think it's a challenge rating 212 and various other stats.
That's a armor upgrade that you can get, which is, you don't have to kill one of these to get that armor upgrade.
You want to give a tiny hint as to what that might give people?
Sure. It dampens vibrations was something really cool that Sam came up with, doing a lot of research on ferrofluids and how they're actually used in space and in real life, and kind of translating that into an item in Starfinder. And so, because it is used in real life to dampen vibrations, we kind of incorporated that, and this helps you reduce the armor check penalty to stealth checks.
Really?
And does one other thing that I won't mention, but no, I'm gonna, because it's cool. It makes you harder to see for creatures that rely on blind sense and blind sight vibration. So if they're seeing you because they can feel your vibrations, they're less likely to because you have exactly the right thing to counter it. And this art I love because it's a Ferrofluid Ooze swarming over Quig, our iconic mechanic, and his drone is either about to rescue him or about to join him in the middle.
It looks like he's trying to grab onto it so he can actually pull it out of it.
That's the hope, I'm sure.
And I think there was that other spectral creature you wanted to show off as well.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry for us to flow through the books so many times, but I really wanted to show you guys. Because before the show, I've just been like pouring over like around lunch and stuff like that. I'm like, so cool. So tell me about this one here.
Yeah, I saw a question somewhere. Wish I could remember where exactly, but thank you for the question. Someone's asked, I think it was on our forum actually, on the...
I can probably bring it up for you, but
The question was, do we have disembodied AI rules? Which is something that Pathfinder kind of had. And for that, I would definitely use the living hologram, which is, we have some art for here, and some cool weapons. They're called hard light hand wraps. That are based on the hard light technology that a living hologram might use to be able to interact. And these are evil things that started out as holograms, maybe an advertisement or something, or like a welcome to the shop or welcome to this amusement park kind of thing, and then they get corrupted and gain sentience and then come after you. And you do have to, if you don't find their projector and fix it with your computers or engineering skills, then they'll just come back. Even if you defeat the hologram part of them, the projector will just regenerate them. So they're kind of tech ghosts, is what Jason Keeley, the author of them, called them. And these are the creature is from an AP, but we got new art and expanded the information, and of course added the weapon to this book. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can go ahead and start taking some questions here and everything else. Unless there's something else in there you really want to go, look at how cool this is. Because everything inside of it, like I've just been flipping through, and then I really want to start a brand new campaign. Because I had some friends who have basically been going through majority of Starfinder already, and I know they're probably watching this right now as well because they've been super excited about this. Because I told them like, hey, you might want to watch because there's some stuff in here that I saw you may want to see. So is there anything else, or do you want to go straight answering some people's questions. We got some few on the forums, Twitter, Facebook, all that.
There's so much in here. I hopefully I'll mention it in answering some questions. We did have this at like one copy at Gen Con in a case, and everyone just kept asking like, "Is it here? Is it here?" I was like, "Sorry,
do we have it
not
yet?"
Quite yet.
But it's coming soon,
Yes,
near
soon.
the end of this month. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves some questions here. There's one from Wookie Gunner here from Twitter. Does this update the Alien Archive series to cover all the Adventure Path back matter? I don't know.
So yeah, we've put a lot of creatures in Adventure Path back matter. And this definitely picks up quite a few. I think I've mentioned quite a few of them, but we definitely want to make sure that there's brand new stuff that no one's ever seen. And I mentioned too that we picked up some stuff from Starfinder Society. And often that can mean, because again, the back of an AP volume, we have about 1 page for a monster usually. In here we have 2 pages, and we can really get into the history and the lore and also provide some player options. So there are definitely some pickups in this book from AP, but it won't be everything, because we want to do new stuff too. Yeah.
Oh, and also Twitch, if you want to answer or ask some questions for us and everything else, do @official Paizo on the chat, so I can actually see you get highlighted here, so I can actually answer some of your questions here. And was there a question that you might have queued up on your side as I kind of browse through here and stuff like that?
Yeah, I wrote some down. If I guess doesn't count as queued up. Oh, somebody. So I was already going to say how many playable species there are in Starfinder with the release of this book, because I think it's an awesome.
Do you know the total
number.
now with the addition of this book off the top of your head? Or?
I know what it is, and it's more than 100 playable species in Starfinder, which like I still can't quite wrap my head around. But with the release of this book, if you include the AP monsters that are playable, AP species, I don't call them monsters, they're not monsters, and you include a few Starfinder Society, which are picked up in here primarily, we're over 100. And the reason I knew that, I've known that for a couple months now.
Yeah.
This is a good time to mention it, I think, because this is the book that will bring us to that over 100 playable species count. But I've been working on a product called the Deck of Many Worlds, which is a 100-card deck that lets you make millions of possible worlds, including what species are on those worlds. And the cards have, each of those 100 cards has a playable species that you can play. So you could also use that deck to just, if you really wanted to go ham and generate a totally random character, you could pull any one of those cards and you would have a species that you can play in Starfinder, which I just think is awesome. Because that's kind of one of the main things about Starfinder is be a weird alien and be in a starship with a bunch of other weird aliens and go do awesome stuff across the galaxy.
Speaking of that, so maybe throughout your adventures that you're basically going through Starfinder stuff. And Cosmic Crit, don't worry, we kind of got your question here from Twitter. Now, that was the cutest new playable race. And which monster keeps you up at night? And once you have multiple questions, you got to let people have some of them. So we'll kind of grab your first one here. What is the cutest new playable race?
Well, you know the answer to that, Peyton.
I do, but I want you to answer it.
Okay.
You got to present it for me because I don't remember their name.
Fans of this stream will be excited because it's funny, we were on this. Can you see quite what this is?
I can.
No, I'm trying to hide it for a second.
I'll switch it to you so you can strategically block it with this, with the other book.
I'll give you a peek, but we would have questions on this stream about adding certain species to the game based on Earth-like animals, and before it ever came up on the stream, we had already decided to put it in this book, and people fought over who got to write it even. And now we have the Brenneri, which it might be familiar to some folks. They resemble a certain Earth creature. Right there. Yeah. I don't know if I need to say more. It's probably a little small on some screens if people are watching on their phones or whatever, but yeah, they're adorable and they're the best.
Here's the page open. Let me see it real quick.
Oh, sure.
That, also we're saying they also have racial traits and stuff like that, and we don't want to spoil it too much and stuff like that, but what is one thing, basically their one special feature on them, do you want to maybe spotlight?
Well, they can hold their breath, which is, par for the course, but I think...
There you go, sir.
The cool thing that Luis Loza did, who wrote these, is gave them a favored object, so they just have like a worry stone that they carry with them all the time, and it is imbued with magic basically, so they can concentrate on it and just really, in hard times, kind of recover and get themselves back in the game when they're. And that's actually one of the other pieces of art there, is watching one just like sort of worry over and just meditate a little bit.
All right, so let's go and grab another question from chat here. And also, I'm sorry if you hear me go ever so often. I'm still getting over the Gen Con stuff.
Me too.
Because I was there for like 4 weeks, or not 4 weeks.
Whoa.
It was like, oh,
what were you doing there?
At that point, it'd be a whole nother issue.
Yes.
But actually, one person had a question, mostly for the cover of the book.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have your own copy. What is the insect-type creature on the front of the book, and also who is possibly that character there and that character there? If you can identify which one's what.
Well, we've got a Valkyrie, we've got a Jinsoul, and we've got Hortus, which Thurston Hillman, Starfinder Society developer, wrote.
Mm-hmm.
They're mushroom people, and they can look like a whole lot of different things. This is sort of one interpretation. And the Valkyrie art inside the book is a Vesk Valkyrie, which I think is pretty cool. And I'll leave that for people who check it out. But yeah.
And another question from Mondslayer here on Twitch. When you're making the Alien Archive books, do you have a theme per book you go for, or is it just the awesome ideas that come up over the time?
It's a little bit of both. Like we had ideas written down from before, maybe things that didn't make it into AA2, Alien Archive 2, or things we knew we wanted to cover. Like there's a new dragon in here.
Mm-hmm.
And we made sure that it's a brand new dragon. It's not one that was in Pathfinder or anything like that. It's
something unique.
Yeah, exactly. But we also do a big brainstorm where we talk, where we get as many people into a room as we can and say, what kind of wacky stuff do you want to make? And we got one cool creature out of that. Mike Sayer pitched this, and he's a organized play developer. He pitched it and ended up writing it, which is the fey creature that pretends to be a world-ending meteor and aims itself at a planet and then feeds off the psychic energy of all the fear of the populace, and then once it's fed, it just turns and goes away.
That sounds like a certain game we've all played.
He just blurted out in the brainstorming, I think something like psychic vampire meteor. That's what we wrote down, and then I came back to him and was like, you want to really write that? Because I think
it's like someone took tarot cards and just kind of was like, and those words will make a monster.
Exactly.
So further on from there, let's go and grab ourselves another question. And while I'm kind of grabbing,
I do want to really quickly say that we do put a lot of thought and effort into making sure we have all kinds of creature types, that the CR curve kind of matches what we expect the player base to need, and the GMs to need to run stuff. I had lots of fun spreadsheets because I like that kind of stuff to see, maybe where we were lacking some CR5 creatures or something. So there's a couple more in this one to sort of balance all that out. So I'm having fun, but but we do make sure that this can be as many things for as many people as it can.
And grossly incandescent, which I understand that name. That they say the tease online mentions a playable swarm. I'm not sure exactly what, or I'm not sure what exactly I want to know about it. So just tell them everything. I don't know how much you can tell, but I don't know how much you want to elaborate on that specific question.
Just read the 1,500 words or so. We've got time, right? I think. What's the coolest thing? I mean, it's a living swarm of insects that is gained sentience and is you. So see if I can remember. I can't remember exactly what they get to do.
I actually read them up. Looking at basically as you're flowing through it, like pretty much the that name you can say.
The Spathinae.
There you go. You want to showcase it just a tiny bit?
Wow. And I've seen some people ask. Is this capital S swarm like the insectile threat, the first monster we showed earlier? It is not. It's just swarm as in a bunch of tiny creatures, really small creatures. The creature is a medium creature, generally. That's what you are. But you can fly around. You can sort of dissociate and fly over and then reform. Owen Casey Stevens wrote these, our former lead designer here. And they have some cool traits that you'll have to check out the book to find out about.
No,
we can't give it all away for free.
No, we can't give everything away. We definitely want you guys to check it all out and everything else. I'm also trying to grab another question from the forums and stuff like that and various other places. Do you know of any questions that kind of came up? Because I think we kind of went through our.
I'll do another Cosmic Crit one. I think I saw that they were asking what creature I lose sleep over, something like that.
Which monster keeps you up at night?
Yeah. I'd say the Hound of Tendrils. That one is freaky. It's a known creature that we kind of brought into the Starfinder universe, and it sort of apparates out of corners and messes you up, and I don't like that. And I feel like there's a lot more corners in Starfinder because there's a lot more constructed buildings, and I know my starship would be very smoothed out, just round out all those corners.
So yeah, I know for majority of ships and stuff like that, I prefer ones that are, very blocky, very Imperial-like kind of deal. Just kind of like, we slammed a whole bunch of resources together to be as efficient as possible.
Yes.
Kind of deal. But I do enjoy like this type of style ships, which are basically like smoothed out, elegant and stuff like that. So as I'm trying to grab some more questions here, basically from thing.
One thing I wanted to mention about this book is the really diverse author pool. Like we got all kinds of people with all kinds of experiences, including life experiences for sure, identities and things like that. But even experience with Starfinder, like some, this was their first time writing something for Starfinder, I think, for a couple people, and other people who have like 20 plus years experience in the RPG industry. Like Owen, for instance, and Rob McCreary, our creative director, they wrote for this and they made the game originally. So a wide range of people and experiences, and I think it comes through in the aliens that are in here. Yeah. There's just so many different things, which again goes back to one of Starfinder's strengths, I think.
I may be throwing you a curveball on this one. I don't know if you can talk about this one. I heard rumors of Platyparians in Alien Archive 3. Are they in there?
No, they're not in here. Platyparians are other most requested species. Will they be coming anytime soon? Who knows, right? I don't know.
I think that sounds like a fantastic idea.
You do? Are you reading that from something?
I guess.
Forced to say that?
You do not see the camera with the gun at my head. So you gotta get down. In your opinion, I'm sorry for an opinion question on this one. In your opinion, what is the coolest playable insectoid race in Alien Archive 3?
In Alien Archive 3, very specific. I mean, Spathinay's up there. They're vermin for sure. I'm kind of taking a look at the. Let me go back to that handy table that I was looking at.
And while he's using all this stuff, we actually get the whole list of them here to easily flip through the book. As he's going through there, though, remember, if you have any questions, by the way, you can either ask us here directly on Twitch by doing @officialpaizo, or we're also going to be kind of going through all the forums and stuff, trying to, preview them, make sure that we can actually answer some of them without, it being a completely other different product that we can't quite say anything yet. But
Spathinay, that's my final answer.
Spathinay? Yeah. You want to tell me a little bit about it, or?
That's the swarm creature we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
Dissociate. We also, we talked about the Durindi and Sazerac, which have been name dropped in previous products, like the Pact Worlds book that has a lot of our setting information. We did that with a few others, which I was just looking at and which made me think of it, and I'll go back there now. What was it? The Shatori, which are transparent immortals who had to bail on their system and became immortal, but then also you can see their bones through their skin. So that's a playable species. So,
hey, at least you can actually be it.
Yeah.
We have a question here on Twitch. How does the animal companion and familiar rules work with our characters? I.e., are they done with a series of feats and archetype themes or something else?
That's a really great question. I kind of meant to talk about that a little bit. So it's funny you mentioned animal companions and familiars, because we wanted to make sure that we got kind of everything under one system as much as possible, so that depending on what you want, because some people just want a little buddy that hangs out with them and doesn't get shot at or killed. Yeah. Some people want something they're riding into battle and they're both attacking, and their mount is using tentacles to attack while they're shooting with their laser lancers or attacking with their laser lancers. Yeah. So it is a series of feats. We didn't want to do an archetype or a theme because, first of all, that's kind of locked to a specific level, right? So if your theme you do have to pick up at first level, and that kind of means you're all about having a creature companion. And we really think that any class and species and whatever should be able to have a creature companion if they want. So it is a series of feats. The first feat lets you just hang out, have them come with you and have like basic control. And we also try to avoid feat chains for the most part, just because it's hard to track, and there's a lot of cool things you can do with feats. So if you really want to focus on having a battle buddy, then you can take more feats, just a couple, 2 or 3 more, to get more and more control and more ability to use them in combat and have them be a strong ally. And we also made sure to keep them sort of not below, but not more powerful than the mechanics drone, because that was sort of, you know, a quasi-companion class, obviously in the core rulebook, and we didn't want suddenly all mechanics with drones to feel like they were just getting outclassed by someone who took a feat instead of, you know, a whole class, committed to a whole class. So there was a lot to balance there. Actually, it took us quite a while. We got a lot of help from a lot of people developing it and got a lot of eyes on it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And to quickly answer Corey Marie's question of when do I get my own command, it's like, there is one. The bot's not doing it right now. So we'll figure out why the bot's being disobedient. And Nitrace also asked, are there any races in Alien Archive 3 that might make particularly good pilots?
Pilots. There's some with bonuses to dexterity from a mechanical standpoint. But flavor-wise is how I'm going to interpret this question, because I think that's more fun. I kind of like the idea of a Raxolite pilot. Raxolites are tiny with a capital T, so very small creatures, plant creatures with flowers on top of their head, which is definitely not someone else's IP. We've never heard of this. This is brand new. But they also have a sort of built-in, so they're tiny, and rules is written, it's harder for them to use weapons and things made for larger creatures. But they're ingenious inventors and engineers, and they've created these things that almost all of them have, which are these sort of mechanical tendrils. I'm not going to show you the art because it's really good art.
Yeah, we must treasure this art.
But they have these basically like kind of Doc Ock sort of systems that they can hold their guns with. And so what I would like to see is one of those in a pilot seat with just like hitting all the piloting buttons all at once and just going ham. And
Xenos says, how strongly does ecology diversity factor into what shows up in a book? Do you try to get a good balance of creatures for different environments in the book?
Yeah, we sure do. And since Alien Archive 2, we've added an index for environment types. And that's something, going back to the Deck of Many Worlds really quick, because I can't not talk about it, is each of those 100 cards with worlds lists biomes that you can sort of use to guide, you know, if you are a GM or whoever and showing up on a planet, you can use those biomes to sort of direct you when you're looking for creatures. You can say, oh, this is a jungle world. Well, then I can look at, you know, sort of creatures that would live in such a place by that category instead of by CR or something like that. And in terms of, I mean, that's another thing we look at is diversity of creature types, which kind of lends itself to that environment thing, I think, quite a bit. And then we also have space to deal with. Yeah. So
like make sure you have something for like a jungle biome, maybe some creatures that could, you know, live in a big metropolitan type city and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's something that we wrangled with early on in Starfinder, was sort of, how do you explain this one creature that we've said is from this one planet being somewhere else? And so we've really gone to sort of like this creature, which might, you know, be known as something else or have like a sort of, you know, parallel evolution counterparts on any kind of world really that you want. And that really helps, I think, everyone populate their worlds with whatever they want.
We have another question here. How do the new companion feats work with the mechanic class? Can it be used to improve the mechanic's drone or add a new companion to the mechanic?
A mechanic can have a companion, and that was one of the biggest challenges, was how do we make sure that the mechanic player at the table with the creature companion is not taking, you know, 30% of the time or more, just taking their turn. So we kind of carefully tuned it so that it's pretty simple. Now, if you are a mechanic and you take all the feats, I mean, you've really heavily invested in having that creature companion, and so I don't see a real problem with being able to do both.
And so further on, as I kind of grab on some more questions, and don't be afraid to ask any questions, guys, and stuff like that. There's some of them that I do have here. They're going to save for the last few minutes of the show, especially some forum questions that we got. So further on from there, one question I'll add, just kind of as a thing of filler. So if you were to start a new Starfinder campaign, and everything else, which one of these races would you choose to be a playable race, and why?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I wrote one creature for this book called the Telia, and they're sort of turtle-like and real. They like podcasts and dad jokes. So I think I would probably
The worst
choose
kinds.
Yeah. I mean, not literally those things, but kind of those things. Wow, I really just outed myself. That's fine.
Don't worry, I'm just giving you giving you garbage.
There's so many, again, like from 20 to pick from just from this book alone. I kind of want to make about 5 or 6 of them, like right now. So it's a good thing I'm not in 5 or 6 Starfinder games at the moment.
Which one do you rank number 1?
I mean, maybe the Rexolite. That was Linda Zayas Palmer who wrote that one. Zayas Palmer, sorry. And they're just adorable, but also awesome. Can't miss with that.
All right, so we've got some formal questions here. So we're going to go with this one. How much integration is there between organized play and the Starfinder design team? What do you think of some of the new creatures that have arisen in organized play, like the Morlamals, and Capaxi, Jinsoul, and etc.?
Yeah, we like them. They're in this book. Morlama, right? Jinsoul, we've talked about those. Also, the Izalgoon is in here as a playable species also. And that was something from Starfinder organized play. And, I mean, we're super integrating Starfinder and organized play because John Compton, who was the organized play lead developer, is joining our team, the Starfinder team specifically, as a senior developer. So we're really excited.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Linda previously mentioned will be taking his role. So
and congratulations to her.
Lots of congratulations to go around here. It's pretty exciting. So it'll be great to have, because he's obviously very involved with organized play, and it'll be good to have him sitting in our queue and kind of have direct access. But of course, we talk a lot, and we are very interested in what organized play is interested in. Like, we want people to enjoy the game, and a lot of people, like you're talking about that special, just hundreds and hundreds of people playing in a room, and that one time, that special's been run other places, and it's just incredible how many people get together and have fun playing these games. So we definitely want to pay attention to them.
I don't know if we can quite give this answer, but what are the stats of the... I don't know if you want to read that one for me. The Hoppeltiefenleifen?
Oh, the Izalgoon?
Yes.
What are the stats? That's an interesting... I mean, that's very specific. But you know what? I'll flip over there, and I'll tell you that their ability adjustments are +2 strength, +2 int, and -2 dex. And that's all I'm going to say. They have other cool stuff. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, we can't. We've showed a lot of the book already.
I know.
And I've been very generous to make sure that we can showcase as much as we can. But and someone kept wanting to ask something about show us the ooze art, and I don't know if that means anything to you.
Well, we were showing the ferromagnetic ooze that's kind of trying to engulf.
Oh yeah, okay.
Maybe we'll throw that up on a blog or something.
I mean, we technically already showed it. You just probably weren't watching in the right time.
Is this going on the YouTubes?
Yes, it'll be also on YouTube and everything else.
Enhance and everything, yeah.
Enhance and PDF scan, etc. I guess one of the questions that we can kind of go ahead and bring here to bring us over, the other ooze, there is no other ooze.
There
is another ooze?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, there's another ooze.
But I'm not showing art of it.
We can't.
There's some cool stuff.
We were given a quota, so we've... I'll go ahead and get yelled at later for extending the quota. But one of the questions that I'll kind of bring over to you is, how is it with your new position?
Oh.
Pretty much for lead designer and everything else. You want to talk about how it is to be now lead designer for Starfinder and all that?
It's very exciting. Owen was a great lead designer, and I won't be able to replace him, but I will definitely be able to kind of continue the work that we did together. He and I worked a lot on all the hardcover lines. So from Armory on, I want to say, Alien Archive 2 even. So I learned a lot from him, and he's one of the most supportive people you'll ever know. So he really set me up for success in taking on this new role and all the various things that come with it. And I'm really excited. And it means I get to mess with spreadsheets even more. So it's a win-win.
With that logic, I have a game for you.
Oh yeah.
but further on from there, we're gonna take a few more questions from chat. So if you got some really nice juicy questions for us for anything about this book or anything.
Softballs.
For anything specific about the book and stuff like that, then don't try to make them play that one thing. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry, Night Trace. We're fully well aware from what I've been talking to people over here. But one of the things that also is this is just the kind of the reboot in a way of Starfinder Wednesdays and everything else.
Yeah, just really cool.
You know, we're basically kind of doing a new spin on everything else and all that stuff. And of course, I'm very much new, and a lot of people don't really know who I am.
Yeah.
Basically, and I'm very new and stuff like that. And one of the questions that HMM decided to ask on the forums is basically, who the heck are you?
Yeah.
And basically, in a sense.
I've been meaning to ask you that.
It's like you're
sat down next to you.
And it's like, I don't know who you are yet. Like, I just met you at Gen Con, and you're weird. But basically the description of who I am, that basically I was brought in because I did, you know, YouTube and Twitch and various other online stuff, and worked at tons of other companies and stuff for about 10-ish years. And basically I've had experience messing with all the internet stuff for quite a while, and I run my own, you know, YouTube and Twitch stuff and everything else. Pretty much taking a back seat so I can come here, talk to all of you, and help out here and everything else. And I know Dan basically needed a lot of help, and Dan's been doing an amazing job. Unfortunately, he's now with Sirenscape.
Yeah.
And so now I've been basically brought in here to just go, oh gosh, Peyton, we need help. And so I'm now here to try to facilitate all this awesome content to you guys. And it's been just an absolute blast, like going through all the Starfinder stuff and everything else, and like learning all these amazing worlds with everybody. Yeah. So I'm hoping for future Starfinder Wednesdays that you guys can kind of help facilitate me and teach me more about all this stuff, because I've been getting a lot of information from like Rob and Amanda and stuff like that. And you can also help me out on learning more and more about this, because I already got myself a nice history lesson and everything when I first got here about majority of Starfinder. And I'm very curious to see what you guys could possibly teach me as we journey through this together and stuff like that. So further on that, we're going to go ahead and end it off here, unless anybody has any last minute questions they'd like to add in. And further on that, did you have any questions that I may have missed here? Or
someone asked who I'd want to walk on a beach with from this book.
That's a very odd question to bring up for the very last thing, but I
have the answer. It's the Morlama. You know, when you walk on a beach with a walrus, you're gonna probably have some nice oysters, as Lewis Carroll taught us. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, so with that, everybody, we're going to go ahead and end it off here and everything else. We thank you very much for coming with us. Thank you so much, man, for coming over.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me all about Alien Archive 3. Thank you all so much, chat, for being here with me. Hope to see you guys further on through the future, and also be here tomorrow for Oblivion Oath. We're going to have Oblivion Oath with Jason Bowman and the rest of the crew for that. And also on Fridays, also going to be Pathfinder Fridays and everything else. And I do believe that Punch and Crawl would normally come right after this show, but I do believe they're on a hiatus right now. And everything is, I think they already started their hiatus for a month and stuff. They're having to restructure some stuff and everything else. But they will be back and everything else, having a really fun time playing Starfinder. Awesome. And so remember, 4 p.m., same bat time, same bat channel for Pathfinder Fridays and everything else. We're going to have tons of exciting things for you. And with that, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, chat. And we will see you all next time.